Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to Anime King 3, and today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto was from all the clans and taken by Obito. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way over Anime King and Anime King 2. If you're new, yes, I indeed have 3 channels: Anime King, Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, which I post what if on every single day for you guys to enjoy. Links will be down in the description. Go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the 3 channels. And also turn on that bell notification to see exactly when I post. So yeah, without any further ado, we're just to begin this new episode. Start the intro. So, the last spot we left off, as 16-year-old Naruto was currently sitting, as he was overlooking a waterfall. It has been 10 years since he left Konoha, and he has changed quite a lot. Much taller, much more powerful. His bangs still came down in his face, hiding his eyes from the outside world. But he was the one that made it look like that. It was then a shift appeared. As the masked man arrived and asked him where was Zetsu, Konoha was still looking for him, as Naruto told him not to worry so much, but he will be going to Konoha for the upcoming June exams. He had already spoken to their leader, so there was nothing to worry about. He will be assigning a team for him. The masked man told him if this had anything to do with Orochimaru being there for the invasion, but Naruto told him no. Well, nevertheless, if Orochimaru was there, he told Naruto to get the ring and then kill him, as Naruto told him will do. We then skipped to Konoha as some time had passed. Jiraiya arrived in the village. Hiruzen hadn't seen him that much lately since Naruto had disappeared from the village, as he had news as he gave Hiruzen a photo, as it started to look like Naruto, but they can't be sure. He told the envoys to keep a track on him but stay distance, as he wanted to know if this was Naruto or not. As Naruto arrived at the village along with a girl named Lulu and another one named Ajisai. Upon arriving, as people noticed, his whisker marks his bangs cover his eyes but not his face, and his hair was still the same. As people started to whisper and murmur when they saw him, and they started to realize it was him, but they thought that he was dead. After all, they had celebrated when they heard that he was dead, but here he was alive, as they couldn't believe what they were seeing. The hate then returned as Lulu and Ajisai noticed that. Naruto told him to go ahead and find lodgings, that he will be there soon enough, as Lulu told him not to get in any trouble, as he promised he won't. He asked the Hokage and Jiraiya, who was just casually on the road, where there was a good place to get something to eat around here, as they direct him towards Ichiwaka Ramen. Hiruzen did not say anything though, but it was most definitely Naruto. After he finished eating, he was walking. That was until he vanished, as Yujiya was surprised when he appeared behind her, as she asked him if it was Naruto. But he told her maybe or maybe not, as he vanished once again, leaving the premises. So with that, he arrived, as Lulu asked him, what did he do out there? He gave her the paper that she placed on him, to watch over him or perhaps spy on him. But Ajisai interrupted. Lulu was related to Konan, as she had the same ability like her. As Naruto didn't seem to mind though, as the day finally came around, as it was now time for the exam. Naruto was rather disappointed when Sasuke announced that there was a genjutsu on the hall, so the other weaklings could enter, as they told him that he was disappointed. But Sasuke didn't know who he was, but Sai on the other hand, Sai felt it. Sai was afraid, as he felt that overbearing presence that startled him on the inside, and that was confusing because he was supposed to feel no emotion, so how was this even happening, as Sai was afraid of Naruto at that moment. But with that, the first exam rolled by rather quickly, After getting done with that, they move on to the Forest of Death. Making their way out to said forest, they arrive. As they waited for the proctor to arrive, Uncle Midarashi. She tried to taunt Naruto by throwing a kunai because he was not listening, but he tilted his head as he scratched his cheek. She appeared behind him as Orochimaru arrived, in his disguise, as Naruto noticed the grass ninja. So with that, they headed into the forest. Upon arriving, for about 15 minutes, they were attacked by a group. As they were asked to hand over their scrolls, as Naruto put it down, he then grabbed the shinobi by his throat and started choking him to death. The other one jumped in, but Ajisai ripped him apart with paper blades. As Naruto turned his gaze upon the girl, as he told her to go, he raised his hand, but 3 knives emerged from his sleeve and stabbed her right through her chest and her head, killing her instantly. As he then dropped the lifeless corpse that he was choking to death. Afterwards, they calmly made their way. So yeah guys, was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across the place and check it for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Remember, stay tuned for the episode coming your way. I hope you guys enjoy. We begin this episode in the Forest of Death. As Lulu paused, as the group was jumping through the trees. They had already moved towards the tower because they had gotten their scrolls, so they could go in. It was then that she finally noticed something. As she narrowed her gaze towards Naruto. "What's wrong?" said Ajisai, as she looked towards Lulu. As Lulu started to walk towards Naruto, his look never changed in one bit as he just looked at her. She couldn't see his eyes though because of the bangs. As she arrived in front of him, "When did you do it?" she asked. "Did what?" Ajisai asked, confused about what was going on. "Ah," said Naruto, his voice coming out soft. "So you finally noticed. Why wouldn't you just allow us to enter the tower? Because leaving you in a place like this by yourself is not something that is good for any. Shinobi's here, and you know you shouldn't take things too far." "Wait, what the hell is going on?" Ajisai said, still confused. A paper sword formed in Lulu's palm as she rammed it through Naruto's stomach. Ajisai's eyes went wide before Naruto went up in a poof of smoke. "A clone?" said Ajisai. "All this time he was a clone? But when did he do that?" "Come, let us find him." Ajisai sighed. "Well, knowing him, we should have figured that he would do something like this, but when did he switch with a clone?" "I didn't even notice," said Ajisai. Meanwhile, a scream could be heard as Temari and Konkuro watches Gaara crush a shinobi in his sand, decimating him and his group as blood fell on the ground as the sand returned to its gort. "Ah, quite gruesome." Gaara turned his gaze towards a tree where he saw someone sitting looking at him. Temari snapped her gaze upwards. "What? I didn't even sense him," she thought to herself. As Konkuro looked up, thinking the same thing as well. As Naruto looked down towards the group, Gaara felt an odd sensation. He wasn't sure what it was. He's never felt this sensation before, just by looking at this strange individual. As he calmly jumped from the tree, his feet touched the ground but there was no sound. It was like no one was there. Even when he walked, there was no sound. It was like they were seeing a ghost. The Jinchuriki of the Shikaku. As the group was surprised by that, mostly Temari and Konkuro. "Hey, how do you..." As Naruto ignored Konkuro as he focused on Gaara. That was quite the gruesome display. "Do you often crush people in your sand?" As Gaara did not answer as he just stared at this newcomer. Not in a chatty mood, I presume," said Naruto, as he started to walk. "You made a big mistake," said Temari, "coming here alone, especially after seeing what Gaara had done." As she held on to her fan, Konkuro did nothing because he knew that Gaara would just crush this individual if he ever tried anything. As Naruto smiled, that surprised her. Out of most of the kunoichis here, it's good to see a real kunoichi, and not just some girl pretending to be a kunoichi. "And for that, I respect you," said Naruto. Temari stroked a bit as her ego was just stroked. "Flattery would not help you," she said, "but I suppose you wouldn't have to suffer the same fate. We already have our scroll, so you can go." "You misunderstand me," said Naruto. "I respect that you're a real kunoichi, so I came here to see." what exactly you can do. I've heard nothing but high praises from the shinobis that belong to the Sun, the untouchable demon, the supposedly mastered puppeteer, and the wind of Suna, said Naruto, as he looked towards her fan. Would you mind me examining that? I am also a wind type myself. Why the hell would I do that, she said. After all, you are the enemy. Yes, I suppose you're right. How about I borrow it? When you arrive at the tower, I give it back to you. Look, buddy, she said no, said Conqueror as he stepped forward. You better get the hell out of here before you die. Ah, always relying on your younger brother, said Naruto. Can't you fight for yourself? I heard that you were supposed to be good with puppets. Well, you heard right, said Conqueror as he released Karasu. Now leave before you get hurt. Temari glanced towards Gaara. She realized he was not saying anything. He was just looking at this individual. What was wrong? She didn't know. As Naruto merely smiled, as he blurred out of sight, Temari felt something grip her fan, as she was shocked. She glanced towards her left to see him standing there, examining said fan. It caught her off guard for a second before she reared her fist back and launched it towards his face. Before she could punch him though, his gaze turned towards her. It was so fast. She barely had time to react and she could not. She felt the blows but she did not see the hits. The next thing she knew, she was lifted off the ground. Her hand was forced to release the fan as a blow sent her sailing as she smashed into a tree. Immediately, Karasu shot forward. You bastard, said Kankuro. Naruto turned and swung said fan. The wind that came out of it was rather unnatural. Kankuro watched as it came towards Karasu. Gaara brought up a wave of sand to block himself from the onslaught. Karasu was not so lucky though, as it was shredded, as there was blades of wind inside the gusts that shredded Karasu to pieces. It was then that Kankuro felt the tip of the fan slammed into his gut. Temari had hit him so much time with that he knew how it felt, as the bottom then hit him right in the chin as he was launched away, smashing through the same tree that Temari smashed into. A wave of sand then wrapped around Naruto, before Gaara held up his hand as he squeezed his fist, crushing Naruto to pace. But there was no blood instead. It was Kankuro's other puppet that he had hid on the ground. As Naruto was back to back with Gaara, Gaara's sand defense shot out to grab him, but Naruto was already gone, as he was now standing up in a tree. Gaara gaze turned towards him. Who are you? He said, not hearing that his siblings got knocked down that easily. When we meet again, I'll tell you my name. Don't worry, we will meet eventually. Tell your sister I'll borrow this. Until she arrived at the tower, I'll give it back. And with that he was gone. Temari pulled herself out of the foliage. That bastard, she said, wiping the blood away from her mouth, as her stomach was still hurting her. Gaara looked towards her. Disappointing, he said. And with that he just turned and started to walk, as she was forced to pick up Kankuro. Not just that, she lost her fan as well, and Kankuro lost his two best puppets, as the man was angry. Luckily, he had a spear in his scroll, but still, he lost his two best puppets. Meanwhile, Team 7 was currently in the process of facing off against a grass ninja. Sai knew that something was not right here. Being a member of Root, and being able to analyze someone's chakra signature, this was definitely not a jonin by any means necessary. This woman was something else. They hadn't fought yet, but her mere presence brought out so much bloodlust that the team was petrified. Well, Sasuke and Sakura, Sai was handling it much better after all. He's been through much more harsh training. The woman turned her gaze towards him. Ah, so apparently one of you can still stand. You've disappointed me, Sasuke. Even your teammate is still back on his feet. At your age, Itachi was already a force to be reckoned with. And look at you, you're pathetic. Sasuke stabbed himself in the foot to get over the genjutsu. He snapped his gaze up as a two-toed Sharingan flared to life. A look of pure rage on his face. Ah, marvelous eyes. If one thing, I have to commend you on having those amazing eyes. Sasuke gripped the kunai in a reverse grip as he got to his feet. But before he could attack, the grass Kunoichi turned her head to the side. Her body was slammed. Not just her body, but the entire foliage in front of her. As the wind attack decimated everything. Trees, stumps, ground, everything was ripped apart. Sai and Sasuke watched as Sakura was slowly getting up as someone landed. It was the same guy as before. Sai froze up a bit, feeling that strange sensation once again. Sasuke on the other hand was angry, as he should be the one to take on that grass Kunoichi. "I'll be back for you soon," said Naruto, as he jumped off. "We must go," said Sai, as Sakura turned towards Sai. As the tone that he used, usually Sai seemed to be emotionless, but it sounded like she heard fear in his tone. "What? I'm not going anywhere. That's the same guy that said he would disappoint in my skills. Maybe it's time I show him what I can really do." Sasuke jumped off as Sakura got up. Sasuke, can she said she jumped off after him. Sai stood there. He didn't have any emotions. So what was this feeling? It couldn't be fear. Why was he feeling fear? As he slowly tracked behind his team, but he would not get up and personal with them. That guy, he put him on edge for some reason. Meanwhile, Orochimaru was launched away as his body was ripped. Slashes all over because that was not any normal wind. As it had ripped into his skin and clothing, forced him to shed said skin to show his true form. Orochimaru watched. A devilish smile came on his face. "Ah, Naruto-kun," he said. "It's been so long." "Yes, it has." As Naruto and Orochimaru had an encounter back in the past, it wasn't anything long. Orochimaru had figured out who he was, but nothing more other than that. "The last time I saw you, you weren't wearing a headband, but now, the hidden ring? Well, that's surely a change. Tell me, Naruto-kun, why come back to Konoha of all places? Why not wait until Chunin exams is in another village? Perhaps you've come here to wreak havoc and chaos. I mean, you're bound to have a little revenge." "Perhaps," said Naruto. "But Zuchi is off limit. I need you to get your slimy eyes away from him." "Oh, is that so? And you think you can make me?" Orochimaru asks. Naruto leaned on the fan. "Well, I will just have to stop you." Orochimaru laughed. "While you surely have gotten strong because of outside forces, not to mention that group that I see you hanging out with, I assure you, Naruto-kun, you haven't met anything like me. You think highly of yourself for a man who was given a title for being defeated." As Orochimaru's teeth gritted slightly at that. Just a washed up snake freak who believed that everything belonged to him, so he steals, and he experiments. No wonder Itachi turned you into a shriveled up mess. In front of the eyes of the Sharingan, you're pathetic. Orochimaru finds this amusing. "You speak a lot, perhaps. I should mark you. I wonder, what will happen if I mix my curse mark with the beast that you possess?" "Whoa, that's a frightening thought," said Naruto. "But I'm afraid we don't have much time. Shall we?" "Well, I will have to put you down to get the Sasuke, so I don't see why we should not." As Naruto picked up the fan before he swinged it once again. This time Orochimaru was gone as he appeared behind the blonde. He brought his hand down for a chopping motion, only for it to be gripped in Naruto's palm. As Naruto yanked him forward, Orochimaru was pulled with the momentum, but he opened his mouth and a snake came out, with a blade in its mouth to pierce right through Naruto's chest. But Naruto shifted his body at the last moment before he clipped Orochimaru in the face with his heel. The snake Sani was thrown from the tree as he was sent spiraling. As Naruto dropped, the moment he did, he moved, his hands flashing behind him in his coat as you could not see them. As Orochimaru watched Naruto coming, he extended his hand, hitting the shadow snake. Naruto extended his hand as he didn't say a word. Small dagger knives shot from it. Orochimaru was ripped into the stomach as he looked down. One stab into his shoulder. "What are these?" he thought to himself, as he felt a weird sensation enter his body. as Naruto pulled his hand back as the knife fled back towards his hand. Before he thrust out his left hand this time, Orochimaru was stabbed through the knee and then through the shoulder. They were fast as Naruto yanked them back, and not to mention whatever they were made of. The chakra was trying to override his body. A weird foreign sensation, but it would not hold him for too long. Orochimaru saw the world. As the world turned upside down, he was surprised by that. That is when he noticed his head was gone, severed from the shoulder. His chakra overpowered whatever was pumped into his system. A snake shot from his head, and not to mention his neck, and reconnect his head. As Naruto stood behind him back to back. I must say, that's a rather crafty jutsu that you develop. You are basically immortal. Well, to an extent. If I were to eradicate you completely, would you come back? You cannot kill the unkillable, Orochimaru said. Now, his head shot around and wrapped around Naruto's body. You're mine! Oh, Orochimaru said Naruto as his head was coming towards him. My knife can do some cool tricks. Orochimaru winced in pain as the knives stabbed into his throat. As Naruto had the ability to recall them without even moving a single finger. It was then that he substituted with a log. As he looked down at Orochimaru from the tree that he was in, as Orochimaru crushed said log. The knives were yanked out of his throat as they returned back Naruto's sleeve. As Naruto stood there with an amused look on his face, judging by the quirk of his lip, Orochimaru cursed as he could not go all out. Sarutobi Sensei would definitely sense him, and that would be a whole lot more trouble. And this brat had already wasted his time. I'll give you the win now, Naruto-kun, he said. But soon I'll be back. And I'll be here waiting, said Naruto. Oh, I assure you, you will be dead once I return. If I were you, I would run, said Naruto. It's only a matter of time before Anvus flood this area. After all, we can't exactly play for real, otherwise you'll be noticed. Orochimaru snarled at that as he knew that Naruto was right, as he started back up towards the tree. I'll be back, Naruto-kun. And for you as well. And with that he slipped into said tree. Once he was gone, after a few seconds, Team 7, well, Sakura and Sasuke arrived on the scene. Hey you! We didn't need your help back there. As Naruto glanced towards Sasuke, he started to walk, a pleasant smile on his face. Ah, Sasuke, I've been meaning to... Naruto paused. Your eyes, he said. As Naruto saw the two totem Sharingan, would you mind informing me how old you are? And why the hell should I tell you that? I'm merely curious, Naruto said. 16. What of it, said Sasuke. I believe that you exit the academy when you were 14, correct? But Konoha was not holding the student exams, and they would not send you to another village to take part. So you had to wait 2 years as a jonin. We are actually the same age, Sasuke. As Naruto ignored Sakura like he wasn't even standing there. And yet you only have 2 totem in your eyes. For the past couple of years, what have you been doing? What? Said Sasuke. I asked you, what have you been doing? Said Naruto, as he was no longer smiling. I thought, the brother of Itachi. Wait, what did you just say? I said I thought the brother of Itachi would be able to at least have a mature Sharingan. How do you know Itachi? Circumstances. Now tell me, what have you been doing these past couple of years? I am not obliged to tell you anything, but you will tell me where Itachi was. As Naruto lowered his head. You disappoint me, Sasuke. I thought maybe perhaps you'd be wiser, smarter. With a level head on your body, but it seems you're nothing but a disappointment. Sasuke shifted into his stance. If you won't talk, I'll beat it out of you, and you will tell me where Itachi was. As Sasuke found himself gaping in surprise when Naruto blinked in front of him, it was almost like he teleported. A fist was roughly slammed into his gut. Sasuke staggered back as Naruto slammed his skull into his. Sasuke felt his entire world went into shambles. As he stumbled on his feet, everything seemed so blurry. as Naruto's fist cracked in his face, striking him down before he slammed his knee into Sasuke's chest. Sasuke felt all the breath leave his lungs as he could not breathe. Naruto kicked him in his chest with his foot, this time upwards. As he felt his ear actually came back, he thought he was gonna die, but the pain was so intense. Naruto gripped him by the face before bashing him into the ground. He stomped on Sasuke back before grabbing his right arm and used it to toss him into a tree as he raised up his left sleeve. Two knives emerged and stabbed into Sasuke's shoulders as he cried, "Stop!" As Naruto paused and turned, that is when he saw the pink-haired girl. "Please, stop," she said, as she held up a kunai but her hand was shaking. As Naruto focused on her, "You remind me of myself," he said. "When I was much younger. I always hated that part of myself, and you being a reminder angers me. You fake excuse for a kunoichi. Perhaps I'll break you," said Naruto. As he moved, the kunai was slapped away from her hand as Naruto gripped her by the throat. Sasuke heard Sakura scream as Naruto slammed her into the tree. She raised her fist but he grabbed it. As he snapped her hand, she screamed rather loudly before he pulled her back and tossed her as she slammed into a large rock, her back hitting it quite forcefully. She rolled off said rock as she started to crawl away, until Naruto stomping her back, making her cry out in agonizing pain. He gripped her by the hair as he lifted her up to eye level, before he slugged her right in the face, not just once, at least 6 times, before he dropped her as she was on the ground, a bloody mess. Sakura tried to crawl away. "Sasuke can help me," she said. It was then that a feet was placed on top of her head. "Look at you, crying out for help. Can't you see there's no one here to help you? Sasuke is worthless, he's nothing. And you can't even defend yourself. There are 2 possibilities of what will happen after this. Either you grow stronger, or either you give up. But there's no option 3 or 4. But don't worry, you will not die. I'm giving you a chance." As he picked her up by the hair once again as she squirmed in pain, as she could barely see. "Sasuke, are you just gonna sit there?" Sasuke tried to pull out said knife but his body was aching as he felt like he couldn't move. "I'll make you pay," he said. "You say that and yet, there you are, worthless, garbage." As Naruto dropped Sakura, she dropped to her knees. As he looked down towards her, before he crouched and looked her right in the eyes. Sasuke could not see what was going on, but he heard Sakura scream, an unnatural scream, before she collapsed in a heap on the ground. As Naruto called back his knife as Sasuke fell to the ground. The moment he fell though, a boot crushed his nose as Naruto broke it, disappointed. That is all I feel right now. Disappointed. I thought you would be worthy. I thought you would live up to the Uchiha name. I thought you were a real Uchiha, but you are nothing but a pampered, worthless piece of garbage. As Naruto picked Sasuke up before chopping him in the throat. As Sasuke gasped, "Killing you is something I won't do right now, but I will show you that you are nothing just because you're Uchiha." BAM! Sasuke felt the whole world went dizzy. As he looked up towards the approaching form of Naruto, he gripped the earth as he picked up a stone and threw it with as much strength as possible, but that was nothing as Naruto grabbed his wrists. Before he looked at Sasuke, as he lifted him up, he slugged him in the stomach as Sasuke started to puke blood. As Naruto bashed him once again, as Sasuke cried out in agonizing pain over to the side. Team 10 had arrived on the scene to see this massacre. "Ino, no!" said Shikamaru, but it was too late. Mind transfer jutsu, as she tried to take over Naruto's body. "Damn it, Choji, do it!" As Ino threw Sasuke away to the side to get into safety as she spread her arms as Choji leaped up in the air. Shikamaru lashed out his shadow to make sure that, just in case. It was then that Ino started to scream, her real body. As Shikamaru glanced towards her, as she kept on screaming, gripping her ear, she was actually tearing her own ear out, as she screamed like she was in agonizing pain. Choji, stop! As the shadow did not reach Naruto in time though, as Naruto jumped up in the air, as he met Choji head on. As Naruto landed on the tree branch, Choji collapsed on the ground. As Naruto's knives had punctured his shoulder, his legs, and one in his stomach, Ino stopped screaming as tears were leaking from her eyes, but she had fell unconscious. Shikamaru froze as he felt the sensation behind him. It's not a wise thing to do. To go into my mind. Make sure you tell her that if she wakes up. Shikamaru could not speak. As he was now feeling a weird sensation, he felt like he couldn't even move. Nara is always smart perhaps. If they listened to you, they wouldn't have been in this state right now. After all, you knew that it was right to stand by and not attack because this would happen, but yet, they let their emotions rule them. Konoha shinobis are proving more worthless than I thought. Give your scroll to me, said Naruto. You three will not be moving on past this round. You have been nothing but a disappointment. Shikamaru reached into his pouch, as he was the one that had the scroll. The logical thing to do right here was give up the scroll, otherwise, he would die. As he felt the sensation, the feeling of death loomed over him. So he handed over said scroll, before Naruto kicked him right in the face, knocking him out clean. As he shook his head and started to walk away, Ino was still unconscious. She was in a bad state. Choji had been knocked out cold, as Naruto had removed his knife from him, as he was bleeding rather badly. Someone had to come to his aid or he would die. Shikamaru was unconscious. Sasuke had passed out from the meeting. As Naruto paused, it seems you understand what was going on. But now that I find you, what makes you think that you will leave here alive? Danzo-sama wishes to speak with you, said Sai as he knew that his cover was blown. Danzo-sama, huh? So you work for that man. As Naruto knew a lot about the old war hawk, well, he could thank Itachi for that. If he wants to speak to me, he will have to come himself. As Naruto tossed the scroll to Sai, who caught it. Take your team and go. I want to see if Sasuke can prove something in the finals. Leave my sight immediately. Sai vanished quickly as he moved towards Sakura and Sasuke, not caring about the others. As he took them and fled, knowing that if he stayed here any longer, he might change his mind and kill him. For the first time in a very long while, Sai was feeling true fear once again. As Naruto looked over towards the Konoha team, they all belonged to a clan. Perhaps this will show Konoha that their standards have dropped. To make it even permanent, he brought his hand up as he started to go through hand sign, fire style. But before he could say anything else, paper wrapped around his mouth and his arms, stopping him from completing his jutsu. Naruto turned to his side to see a pissed off Ajisai. As he looked up to see Lulu. I told you not to get in any trouble, said Lulu. Yet you were gonna burn them alive, were you not? Perhaps I was going a bit overboard. It's a good thing that you were here, said Naruto. His voice came out as a mumble, but she heard what he said. As she removed her papers from him, she glanced towards the Konoha team. We have what we want. Let us go. Oh, you're not going anywhere, said the voice. As Zaku stepped out of the foliage, as Naruto glanced towards the hidden sauna headband, as Zaku dozed when Kin just arrived on the scene. Well, if you hand over your scroll, perhaps we might let you live. Do you see what I mean, said Naruto. Annoyance. Don't worry, I'll handle this, Ajisai said, as she knew if Naruto were to fight he would just massacre them. As she reached in her pouch and tossed an object forward, said object shaped like a small box. There was a ceiling pattern on it. Release! A torrent of water flew from said object as the team was forced to move. She did not waste any time as she went through hand sign, water style. Rapid wave! The water started to go violent as it shot out into three forms. Kin got caught rather easily as she was unable to avoid the attack as she was viciously slammed into a tree and knocked out cold. Zaku blasted the thing away as he blew away the water. But Ajisai threw another one of those same ceiling tiles. Release! As this time electricity came out. The water at their feet was electrified as both men screamed out in agonizing pain as they were taken out of the equation. Afterwards, she pulled out a new one of those tiles before she placed on the ground and went through hand sign. The electrified water was siphoned into said tile. As she picked it up, looking at the three unconscious members. Well, it seems you can pull your own weight, said Naruto. Of course I can, she snapped at him. It's time to go, said Lulu, as she focused on Naruto, looking at him keenly. Do not worry. I am not a clone, said Naruto. I have finished what I came here to do. Let us go, shall we? As the group calmly made their way through the forest, it didn't take long for them to arrive at the tower, where they were allowed entrance inside. They were the second team here. The first team to arrive was the Sand team. As Naruto entered, the moment he did, he heard someone shouted. As he turned his gaze to see the Sand Kunoichi marching over towards him. Do you know her? Ajisai said. As Tamar stopped in front of him. Where's my fan? She said, as she looked like she was about to lose her cool, glaring at him with daggers. I broke it, said Naruto. You what? I broke it. Her fist clenched, her eyes seemed to burn with unnatural hate and rage. As that made Naruto simply smile. Calm down, he said. I just wanted to see your reaction. There is no need to lose your cool. As he tapped a seal on his wrist, and it was a poof. Her fan appeared as he handed it to her. She examined her fan. She stepped towards him rather close. You're gonna pay for that, she said. I look forward to it, he said. As she made her way off. Why did you take her fan? Ajisai asked. It was a crafted tool, said Naruto. And I did ask. More like you took it away, said Lulu. Well, you're kind of right there, said Naruto. Well, if it's alright with you guys, I'll be getting some rest. As he walked off towards one of the rooms that was given to them, the days passed rather quickly. The Uchiha team arrived on the third day, as the girl was still unconscious, and she was brought towards the infirmary, but they did arrive here, and in doing so they passed, to move on to the next round, after which, Team Guy arrived in. And then, there was also Team 8 that consists of Kiba Inazaka, Shino Aburami, and Hinata Hyuga. Other than that, no other team seemed to be arriving. That was rather odd considering that there were so much teams that made their way in the forest. What did you do? Asked Lulu, as she noticed there was no more teams arriving. Why do you presume that I did something? Do you always have to think bad of me, Lulu? Naruto asked. Yes, she said, considering that you're not a good person. Now tell me, what did you do? Well, I merely sent out a few clones to handle the teams that were not worthy of being here. Ajisai glanced towards the Konoha team that consists of Hinata and Kiba and Shino. What about them? As she had heard that boy, the one in the dog boasting, and he looked pretty weak, he just act like he's tough. It seems they're a tracking team. Somehow, they were able to delude my senses. Perhaps it was because of that girl with her Byakugan and those bugs. They can really throw off a scent, you know? And also, their chakra makes it hard to track. So you were not able to find them, otherwise you'd have taken them out as well. I said it before, said Naruto. Those teams were not worthy of coming here. Fighting a bunch of weaklings is a mistake. Would you have me leave them alone so you can fight the weaklings? Lulu said nothing. You didn't have to kill them, Ajisai said. You did kill them, right? You said I didn't have to, and yet you presume I did. I'll give your mind at ease. No, I didn't kill them. They're all fine, said Naruto. I don't believe you, she said. Then don't ask, said Naruto. She sighed as she turned her head. As Naruto noticed that he was being watched the entire time by the jonin senseis, he got to his feet as he saw them piling in. As Lulu glanced towards him, do not cause any trouble. Sometime I think that you don't like me, said Naruto, as he walked off leaving her alone. Do you think he's gonna do something stupid, asked Ajisai. He knows when not to cause any trouble. He just has to be reminded every now and then, said Lulu, remembering that she had to stop him from killing the Konoha ninjas, especially the clan heirs. Sasuke was wrapped up in bandages. If they were to fight again, he would definitely lose. But it seems that the Konoha medics had done wonderful work on him. As Sasuke glared at Naruto the moment he saw him. So that's the guy, huh? Said Kiba. He's the one that did this to you. Team 10 had been found not too long ago, as they were taken away by their sensei Asuma, who found them. Ino was unresponsive. She was not dead, but she was not waking up, as Inoichi had made his way off to check on his daughter. Choji had been rushed to the hospital because of blood loss. When Shikamaru had woke up, well, it had took a while after that blow to the head, and he had found his team in a critical state. It had been a while, not to mention he wasn't a medic. So after they were found by the jonin senseis, they were dispatched to make sure that if anyone else was out there alive, they were to be taken in. His two teammates rushed to the hospital, but he was quite fine. Nothing but a small concussion. But he had came here along with them. Sai, on the other hand, looked completely fine. As Kiba was growling, he might not like Sasuke that much, but Sasuke was still one of them. And this Rain Ninja think that he can just bully every Konoha ninja. As Naruto did not pay Kiba any mind. I see that they fixed you up well, said Naruto. As Sasuke tried to look intimidating, but in the state that he was in with all the bandages, it wasn't so threatening. As Naruto merely smiled, he then glanced around. I take it the girl is alive. I did not kill her after all. But I did make her understand what it means to be a shinobi, with a kunoichi on her end. Don't speak about her, Sasuke said. I see that you're still angry. Sasuke clenched his fists. I did you a favor. Sasuke's Sharingan flared to life. As Kiba stepped forward, I don't know who the hell you are, but it was a mistake for hurting any leaf shinobis. Naruto glanced towards Kiba. Immediately, Akamaru started to whimper. With just a single glance, even though they could not see his eyes. What's wrong, boy? Said Kiba. Now, there is no need for any of that. As Naruto turned his gaze towards jonin senseis, as the three of them were standing there. Ah, Kakashi Hatake. You know me, said Kakashi. Of course. Who wouldn't know the famous copy ninja? I must say it's an honor to meet you, said Naruto, as he gave the man a slight bow. And the lovely Genjutsu mistress of Konoha, Kurenai Ui. I must say, your art is not very used these days. But I'm glad to know that you're someone out there that is trying to re-establish the Genjutsu is still quite a hefty art. And Asuma Sarutobi, son of the third Hokage, you have quite the hefty name for yourself as well. I must say, with you promising teachers, your students have really disappointed me. They're all nothing but pathetic pieces of garbage. Asuma grit his teeth. That's our students that you're speaking about. And they're right behind you, so you should watch your mouth. Oh, you misjudged me, said Naruto. I'm not sending any disrespect towards you, but merely your students. I can see that you take this as an offense, but you people are known for your skills and your power, and yet your students, if they were to be put in a real-life death situation, they would be taken out easily. We heard what you did, said Asuma. Ino is still unconscious, and Choji, you almost killed him, and yet you stand here, criticizing our teaching. Well, I'm merely preparing them for the future. In fact, you should thank me. Thank you? Said Asuma. Why the hell should I do that? I made them realize that they're weak, and that they need to grow stronger, otherwise they will die soon enough. But I assure you, they will not fall by my hands, because I have no interest in weaklings. I was merely testing to see what Konoha has grown over the past few years. After all, Your village is the strongest throughout the nations. I want to see the future strength of Konoha. But as things are right now, I'm not impressed. Kurna gulped as she narrowed her gaze. The kids were not feeling it, but there was this presence. It was so foul, so dark. By just looking at him, even though they couldn't see his eyes. As Austin and Kakashi must have sensed it as well. As Kakashi was analyzing Naruto, on a deeper level, the way he moved, the way he was careful with his words. "Ah, it seems like we're getting started," said Naruto. "I bid you all farewell." He then glanced. "Sasuke, we'll talk soon enough," he said. As he walked back over towards his team. "Did you have to do that?" asked Ajisai, as Naruto merely ignored her. Meanwhile, "Yuki is Sasuke?" asked Kakashi, but Sasuke ignored the man as he kept on glaring at Naruto. It didn't take too long as the members were gathered. All of them were in a line. It was just 12 of them here. The Sand Team, Guy's team, Naruto's team, and Team 8, the rest of them were disqualified, and they did not apply for this round. Kabuto's team did not even make it either. Well, that was because of Orochimaru. As Harrison congratulated them all as he glanced towards Naruto. "Usually, we will be having a preliminaries around this time, but because there are so few of you, we will be skipping straight towards the final in 1 month time." "1 month," said Kiba. "Some of you are in a bad state. And making you go on right now would be not wise. You have 1 month to train and prepare. But before that you will be drawing numbers." Hayate stepped forward with a box to see who you'll be fighting off against in the finals. As the members move forward, as they start to draw their numbers, as Naruto glanced towards his, he got number 6. All of them list out their numbers as their names are written on the board. The first match will consist of Hinata Hyuga versus Neji Hyuga. Hinata looks scared at that. Lulu would be facing off against Gaara, as Naruto would be facing off against Rock Lee. As he glanced towards the boy, dressed in all green, Tenten would be facing off against Ajisai. Shino against Tamari. Kiba against Sai. As Naruto blocked out the rest of that because they weren't really important to hear about. As he watches everything played out in front of him. Once they were finished, before they could leave, the Hokage told him to report to his office as he wished to speak to him before he leave the village. As Harrison made his way calmly. "What do we do?" Ajisai asks. "I will go speak with him." As Lulu looked towards him. "Are you sure that is wise?" "There is no point in running," said Naruto. "If I run now, I wouldn't be able to come back here without a hassle on my tail. You two wait at the gate for me. I'll be there very soon." And with that, they separated. As Lulu slipped one of her papers on Naruto. As she made her way calmly. It's been a long time since he's been here. But the aroma, the scents, the smell of tobacco, it all smells so familiar. As Naruto stepped inside the office. As Harrison looked up towards him. "Hey JJ," said Naruto. Harrison felt like he wanted to cry, hearing those words after this long, as he couldn't believe it, as he was the only one in the office, as he wanted to speak to Naruto alone, to not frighten him or make things look hostile. "So you do remember?" "I believe that you did." "Yes, I do," said Naruto as he glanced around. "It's been a long while since I've been here." 10 years, Harrison said. "Yes, it has been that long," said Naruto. "Sorry, but we have to get straight to the matter at point. I hope you understand." "I do," said Naruto. "You left Konoha 10 years ago. Can you explain the circumstance around that?" "Well, it was probably the 100th time of me getting beaten, stabbed, or hurt severely. I didn't know why, but the envoys that you always sent to watch over me were not there. As Harrison knew why though, that was the night that the Uchiha massacre happened. So I ran," said Naruto. "I ran as far as possible." "You just ran?" "Yes, the gate was unoccupied, so I just ran. I ran until I was exhausted. Afterwards I didn't know where to go. So I roamed around for a lot until I found myself in the hidden rain. The village was shut down. Someone found me. At first I thought I was gonna die, but I was not killed. Instead I was brought to the orphanage there. I was taken in by the orphanage. Wow. Lesson, compared to Konoha, it was better because I was not constantly hate or being ridiculed or beaten. Harrison felt his heart dip as Naruto said those words. So that is my story basically. I stayed in the hidden rain, and it seems like it was a good option. Harrison narrowed his gaze. Sai told me that he heard you over speaking about Itachi. Is that true? Do you know him? Yes, to an extent. He was the one that found me. He did? Yes. And gave me over to the orphanage of the Hidden Rain. It seems like he understood it was better for me to be there than in Konoha. At least someone was looking out for my well-being. Naruto, there's no need to apologize. That was a long time ago, things have changed. Where is Itachi now? Asked Harrison. If I knew, I wouldn't tell you, said Naruto. And why is that? Asked Harrison. Well, to you people, he might be a monster. But to me, he was a hero. He saved me. He helped me. He gave me a life. Away from all the bloodshed, all the pain and suffering. A life where I can be a normal kid. After all, I am a shinobi of the Hidden Rain now. So, I presume that something like this was gonna happen. Do you wish to keep me here? Said Naruto. Because of what I contain. You know about that, huh? Well, figures, Harrison said. Yes, I do, said Naruto. Do you at least have friends in the Hidden Rain? Friends is a loose term, but yes. Who trained you? Hanzo of the Salamander, said Naruto. I guess he saw my potential. Hanzo was the one that trained you, asked Harrison. As Naruto nodded. Harrison sighed as he looked towards Naruto. He had a tough choice, but he had to make it. But as he glanced towards Naruto, he made up his mind. Time skip. Well, they let you go, said Lulu, as Naruto was making his way with the group. The old man's a lot kinder than I remember, said Naruto. It seems. He wanted to make up for the wrong that he did in the past. Well, let's just be glad that it wasn't a hassle for you to have to force your way out. Yes, let's, said Naruto. But the old man doesn't possess all power within Konoha. It seems we won't be allowed to leave without the hassle first. As Lulu narrowed her gaze. You and Ajisai go ahead. They're after me, said Naruto. Most likely they want to take me and use me. I will have a word with them. Do you believe that this is the Hokage? She asked. No, said Naruto. As I said, the old man. It's a lot kinder than I thought. This is another force. So, you two go ahead. There's no reason for you to get your hands dirty while they're after me. We're a team, Ajisai said. Yes. But I would like to handle this alone. Now go, said Naruto. Let's go, said Lulu. As Ajisai nodded as they move off. As Naruto landed. As several root ninjas flashed in front of him. I'm afraid we can't allow you to leave, Keiichi Jinchuriki. Oh, is that so? Said Naruto. He reached up and pushed his hair out of his eyes, moving back his bangs to reveal a Sharingan. That caught them off guard. Wait, what? As they were surprised by that. As Naruto's eyes started to shift into something more deadly. But guys, if you ain't subscribed right here, if you want to see sports and do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification as you posted. But I'm off for now, see you guys soon. Peace.